She looked me in the eyes at our engagement dinner and said, "I want a mutual freedom marriage." My father walked out first, then I took off my ring. But karma made her beg to come back months later. I met Madison at a friend's birthday the year before we became serious. She wasn't an old friend. She came up to me, confident and funny, and we talked for hours. We dated for 2 years. Our families met, we had dinners, and we started planning a life together. I thought we were on the same page. The engagement came sooner than I expected. Both families wanted to celebrate, so we arranged a dinner at a downtown restaurant. The room had soft lights and linen napkins. People smiled, glasses clinked, and everything felt right. My father gave a short toast about commitment and standing by the person you choose. His words landed in the room and felt important. After the toast, Madison cleared her throat and said she wanted to tell everyone how we planned to live. I expected something simple. Instead, she said she wanted a relationship with mutual freedom, no restrictions, emotional or physical connections outside marriage if we chose. The sentence fell across the table. My mother put down her fork. A cousin nearby lowered his voice. My father looked at her, then at me. He asked what kind of woman I liked. It wasn't a joke. He looked at me as if trying to understand something that didn't make sense. Madison laughed, thinking he was teasing. Her mother spoke up for her. She said we were adults and the world had changed. Couples should choose their own path. My father slammed his napkin down and stood. He spoke about respect and loyalty. The room grew quiet. Madison searched my face for support. I couldn't give it. I hadn't known about any of this. She said we had talked about it. I told her we hadn't. The word freedom felt like a lock being turned on everything I believed marriage should be. Her mother said we deserved growth and happiness. I listened and felt a distance widen between us. My father said, quietly and firmly, that we were done there, and he left the table. My family followed him without fanfare. Madison reached for my arm as I stood. Her voice had a sharp edge. She told me I was overreacting, that we'd planned everything, and this was part of being honest. I told her she had planned a wedding, but not a marriage. I took my ring off, set it on the table next to the salt, and walked out. The night air hit me. The city felt the same, but smaller. Under the restaurant awning, my family gathered with me. Nobody spoke much. We turned away together. Inside, plates waited, conversations tried to restart, but the center of the room had already moved. Madison sat where we had meant to begin. For a second, she looked very alone. I kept walking. I didn't call back. I didn't look over my shoulder. I left that night as if stepping away from something I no longer trusted. I felt a mix of anger and a strange calm as we moved away from the entrance. The restaurant lights blurred behind us while my phone sat heavy in my pocket. I remembered small moments we had planned, lists, jokes, the little rituals, and they all felt suddenly foreign. My father's expression kept returning to my mind, the tightness at his mouth, the slow, disappointed nod. That look made the decision simple. This wasn't spectacle or bravado, it was a boundary. I had to protect myself and the people I cared about. The future. She stayed seated when I left, but by the time I got home that night, her messages were already coming in. Long ones, short ones, mixed with half apologies and confusion. I didn't answer a single one. The next morning, I turned off my phone and went to clear my head. I didn't want to be angry anymore. I just wanted to understand how someone I trusted could blindside me like that in front of my entire family. Days passed. The messages stopped. Life slowly returned to normal, or at least quieter. Then, 2 weeks later, my receptionist buzzed my office line. "Hey, there's a Madison here to see you." I froze for a moment, like I hadn't heard the name in years. Before I could even tell her to send her away, Madison was already stepping through the door. Perfectly dressed, hair done, calm like nothing had ever happened. "Hi," she said softly. "Can we talk?" I leaned back. "You've got 2 minutes." She took a deep breath. "I know you're angry. I think things got out of hand that night. My mom shouldn't have said anything." I crossed my arms. "Your mom wasn't the problem. You were." She hesitated. "I just wanted to be honest about what I believe. About how relationships should be free, open." I thought being open meant being real. Real. I repeated. "You announced to both our families that you wanted to see other people after marriage. At our engagement dinner. You think that's honesty? That's humiliation." Her face tightened. "You embarrassed me, too, you know. You just walked out, left me there with everyone staring." I felt my jaw clench. "You embarrassed yourself, Madison. You dropped a bomb in front of 2 families and expected applause." She shifted closer, lowering her voice. "Can't we just start over?" For a moment, I saw the old version of her, the one I fell for. The way she used to laugh when I forgot my keys, the way she'd talk about our future. That version flickered in her eyes for a second, and for a brief moment, I almost softened. Then I noticed her phone. It was face down on my desk, lighting up. A message appeared. "So, did you talk to him?" I stared at the screen, then at her. Who's that? Her hand shot forward fast. Just a friend. I nodded slowly. Right? Another one of your mutual freedom friends. Don't twist it, she said. It's not what you think. I stood up. No, Madison. It's exactly what I think. She looked desperate now, her voice softer. I came because I still love you. Love, I said. Love doesn't ask for backup plans. Love doesn't ask for conditions. Her eyes dropped, and she whispered, I just thought maybe we could talk. I shook my head. You didn't come here for me. You came here to clean up the image you ruined. You don't miss me. You miss the stability you destroyed. She blinked, holding back tears. You really think I'm that shallow? I don't think, I said quietly. I know. I walked to the door and opened it. Goodbye, Madison. She stood there for a moment, then grabbed her purse and left without another word. When the door closed, I exhaled for the first time in what felt like minutes. The sound of the city outside felt clearer, lighter, but I knew her too well. Madison never accepted defeat easily. And I was right, because 3 months later, I saw her again, this time with someone else. And she made sure I did. 3 months passed. Life had steadied itself again. I wasn't happy, but I was balanced. I spent more time with friends, started running in the mornings, and even joined my parents for dinner on weekends again. Madison became a shadow of a past chapter, something I'd closed and left behind. Then one Saturday, I went to a cafe near the lake with a few coworkers. It was quiet, familiar. I'd been there dozens of times, never expecting anything more than good coffee and calm conversation. Until I heard a laugh I recognized immediately. I didn't even have to turn around. It was Madison. That same laugh, the one that used to pull me in every time. I turned my head slightly, and there she was, 2 tables away. She wasn't alone. A guy sat across from her, tall, expensive watch, loud voice. His hand rested casually on her thigh. They looked like a new couple in their honeymoon phase. Madison caught my eye and froze for a second. Then she smiled, faintly, pretending like the whole thing didn't sting. I didn't move. I didn't speak. But when she leaned in and kissed him, hard, deliberate, like she wanted me to see it, I understood exactly what she was doing. It wasn't love. It was a performance. The same pattern that had always defined her. I finished my drink, stood up, and walked out without a word. My coworkers followed me, quietly, probably sensing the tension they couldn't name. That night, I deleted her number, blocked her on everything. I told myself that was the end of it. But Madison never let go of the last word. 6 months later, my phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. A message request on Facebook. I made a mistake, Adam. Please, just hear me out. I stared at the screen. My chest didn't tighten this time. No anger, just a strange calm. The next day, another message came. Can we talk? Just once. I need to explain. For reasons I couldn't explain, maybe closure, maybe curiosity, I said yes. We met at a small cafe downtown. Coincidentally, the same one where I'd seen her with that guy months before. She looked different this time. No makeup, hair tied up. Her eyes had that quiet look people get when they've been through something real. Thanks for coming, she said, voice small. I nodded. What's this about? Madison sighed and stared into her coffee. I messed up, Adam. I thought I was doing the right thing, being modern, independent. I thought I was brave. But I wasn't. I was just running from something I didn't understand. Her tone was softer now. The arrogance was gone. I leaned back in my chair. And now you understand? She nodded slowly. Yeah, too late, but I do. She looked up, eyes damp but steady. After that night, my mom kept saying I should be proud. But I felt empty. Then I met Daniel, the guy you saw me with. At first, he was amazing. Then it changed. Her voice faltered. He used my own words against me. You wanted freedom, right? That's what he'd say whenever he disappeared for days. I didn't interrupt. She kept talking, voice quieter with each sentence. He flirted with other women, laughed about it, said that's what a mutual freedom relationship meant. When I got upset, he told me I was old-fashioned, that I was the problem. She looked down at her cup again. I thought I wanted freedom, but all I did was lose the one person who gave me loyalty without asking for anything back. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Part of me felt pity, part of me still hurt. But mostly, I just felt done. And then she said something that made the silence between us feel heavy. Adam, you didn't deserve any of it. I threw away someone real because I was chasing something fake. I finally spoke. You didn't just throw it away, Madison. You lit it on fire, in front of everyone. She closed her eyes. I know. She said she was moving away, starting over. No drama, no begging this time. Just a quiet end. Before leaving, she said softly, I hope you find peace. I looked at her and said, I already did. That was the last thing I ever said to her in person. But 8 months later, her name showed up again, not in my inbox, but somewhere I didn't expect. 8 months went by. Madison was nothing but a quiet echo in the back of my mind. Life had a rhythm again, steady, calm, predictable in a good way. I had stopped checking social media, stopped wondering what she was doing, stopped replaying that dinner in my head. Then one morning, while scrolling through LinkedIn during a break, I saw her name. No profile photo, no smiling face, just a post. Learning to rebuild after losing myself in people who didn't deserve my trust. It didn't get likes or comments, just words hanging there. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. Not angry, not smug, just still. I realized then that Madison had finally learned what loyalty meant, but only after losing it for good. It was a strange kind of closure. The kind that doesn't arrive with fireworks or apologies, just quiet understanding. I closed the app and went back to my day. Time passed. I started seeing someone new. Her name was Anna. She wasn't loud or dramatic. She didn't talk about freedom or modern love. She believed in simple things: trust, patience, effort. She didn't need attention from the world. She just needed honesty. When I introduced her to my parents, my father smiled in that rare way he only does when he's quietly proud. After dinner, when she left for the night, he said, "See, some lessons don't need words. They just need time." And he was right. Looking back, I don't think Madison was a bad person. She was confused, raised on the idea that love had to be limitless to be real, that loyalty meant losing yourself. She learned the hard way that boundaries aren't cages. They're choices. I sometimes wonder if she found peace in Boston, where she said she was moving. Maybe she did. Maybe she's still figuring it out. But as for me, I finally stopped chasing explanations. I stopped needing her to understand the damage she caused. The truth is, karma already did what I couldn't. She wanted freedom from love. But in the end, love was the only thing that ever set me free. I didn't share this story to make anyone feel bad for me. They call it freedom, they call it modern, but really, it's fear. Fear of being known, fear of being still, fear of loving someone so much that you can't control it. And I learned something through it all. You can forgive someone without letting them back in. You can move on without needing them to see how much better you're doing. That's real closure. It took one dinner, one sentence, and one ring left on a restaurant table to teach me that. So if you've ever had someone choose freedom over loyalty, don't chase them. Let life teach them what your silence already knows. Because when they finally realize what real love means, they'll remember the one person who offered it without asking for anything back. And by then, you'll be too far ahead to look back. After seeing that LinkedIn post, I didn't think much about Madison again. But a few months later, I heard from a mutual friend that she really had moved back to Boston. She was living with her aunt, taking evening classes, trying to start over. I didn't feel bitter anymore, just distant. Time does that. It dulls the sharp edges of everything. Life had moved forward for me. Anna and I grew closer. We traveled a bit, spent weekends cooking together, small things that made everything easy. There was no drama, no emotional chess. Just two people choosing each other every day. One Sunday morning, while Anna was still asleep, I went through some old boxes. I found the engagement photo Madison and I had taken, both of us smiling, hands linked, pretending to know what forever meant. I looked at it for a few seconds, then slid it into the trash. Not out of spite, out of peace. It just didn't belong in my life anymore. That night, my dad called. We talked about work, sports, and random things. Before hanging up, he said quietly, "Proud of how you handled everything, son. You didn't let anger run your life." That hit me harder than I expected. He was right. I didn't take revenge, not the loud kind. I just let karma do its work. And from what I'd heard, it did. The guy Madison had been with, Daniel, ended up leaving her. She'd caught him cheating, not once, but several times. He told her, almost word for word, "You wanted freedom, remember?" She'd repeated that same philosophy to me once, thinking it made her modern. Now she was living on the receiving end of it. I guess that's how life balances itself out. For her, freedom had been a rebellion against trust. For me, walking away had been freedom from chaos. A year after the engagement dinner that ruined everything, I went back to the same restaurant with Anna. Not intentionally, it just happened to be nearby. When the waiter asked if I'd been there before, I said yes, once, a long time ago. The lights, the music, the scent of roasted garlic. All of it felt familiar, but it didn't sting anymore. It just reminded me of how much I'd grown since that night. Anna smiled across the table and said, "You look peaceful tonight." I smiled back. "Yeah, I think I finally am." When we left the restaurant, I realized something. Madison had taught me more about love than anyone else, just not in the way she meant to. She taught me that not every apology needs a reunion, and not every heartbreak needs revenge. Sometimes, the real win is moving forward without bitterness. Months later, I got one final message, not from her directly, but through a mutual friend. Madison was doing better. Therapy, a new city, a steady job. She told them to tell me, Thank him. I finally understand. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because by then, I'd already learned the lesson too. People who trade loyalty for freedom eventually end up trapped by the very thing they wanted most. She wanted a mutual freedom marriage. She got it, just not the way she imagined. And me? I got peace, a clean conscience, and a life that didn't need to prove anything. Funny thing about karma, it doesn't always come back loud. Sometimes, it comes back quietly, years later, when you see the person who broke you learning the same lesson they once mocked you for believing in. That's when you realize the story's over, and you've already won.